Hey everybody, it's Jim. It is Friday. That means it is Free Build Friday on Kitbashing. And it also means that I have a special guest with me. Luke, why don't you wave and say hi? That camera right there. Just wave the camera, say hi.
Hi.
So, this is my son Lucas. He is with me today on this particular episode of Kitbashing. Since he doesn't have school, and since it's okay for us to be in a social distance with each other, he's going to be my co-host today. So, Luke, why don't you tell kids and viewers a little bit about yourself? What school do you go to? Go to, I guess, right now.
So, is it on that camera?
You can just talk to me.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay, so I go to Halling Heights Elementary School, and I get to take my own iPad home, but due to this coronavirus thing, I have to take my iPad home, and instead of doing all the free time stuff that I usually do on it, I have to do actual work.
Yeah, that's how it goes. By the way, hi Ashley. Ashley is here. She said hi in our Facebook chat log. So for those of you who are streaming with us live, we do host this live Monday through Fridays, and then they are recorded. So if you're not watching this on Friday the 27th of March at 1 o'clock, then you're watching it pre-recorded, and your comments aren't going to show up. But you can still comment on the video, and don't forget to, if you're on the YouTube channel, you should like and subscribe to the video, and if you're on the Facebook channel, you should hit like, and actually, you should hit share right now. Share this with your friends so they can see what we do here. So Fridays are really, really special here. Fridays are what we call the Free Build Friday. And Free Build Friday is when we get to do whatever we want. I'm going to show you something that I really enjoy, and it might be related to the kit. It might not be related to the kit. It's going to be something different. You know, Mondays through Thursdays, we're going to build something from that kit every day, and you'll be able to use it and work along with us. And if you don't have the kit, you can always build one. So just so you know, if you're like, where do I get that? On your screen, right down here, madenewOmaha.com/kitbashing. We have the plans for the kit, so you can actually make them online if you wanted to open source create the kit and track down everything. It's a lot of stuff. It's like 160 elements. So if you just want to buy one and you're like, oh my gosh, it would be so much easier if I bought a kit, we have 17 left today. After those 17 run out, I don't know if we're going to have any more because supply lines are drying up. Actually, it's kind of funny because today I just got a delivery of one thing that we needed for the next batch that are going out. These are the wheel bearings. And so here, I'll show one in front of this camera, in front of the Luke camera. Here we go. So those wheel bearings, there's 4 of those in every kit. And with those 4 wheel bearings, we're going to create a whole bunch of things, wheels, pulleys, all sorts of cool stuff. But we needed them and we couldn't get them. And we had a challenge because the place that I usually buy them from, I can usually get like 100 for $20. And the prices have gone up substantially. They wanted $60 basically for 100. And when you're making lots of kits, you need like 400 of these. That was not cool. So then I had to go and look around, and I found somebody else who had them, and we took care of that. So we're good to go. Lucas, on your head right now, you got something. Let me switch over to this aux cam. So on the show, it's Free Build Friday. I'm going to show you how to use some software. But Luke, why don't you explain what's in your hair right now?
So, right before this video started, I was thinking I want to have something funny to make this video better. So, about 15 minutes before this started, I got to work making a pair of bunny ears. And this is what it looks like.
Oh, here, let me show that camera. Yep, you can show that camera.
So, this is what it looks like, and this usually clips onto my shirt, but it kind of like pulls my head down, so I decided to unclip that, and this binder, no, this not binder clip. This clothespin would clip it to my hair, and going around this, there's actually a twist tie that is covered up by a pipe cleaner, and the twist tie keeps it together. The pipe cleaner hangs down, and that's what clips it to my shirt.
Very cool. So Luke, that's a really cool invention, and you actually made that entirely with parts from the Kitbashing kit. So somebody's watching today, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to create something that from the kit today." This is going to be cool that we're going to learn 3D modeling on the show, but I want to learn something from the kit. Well, guess what? You just saw Luke's invention, the bunny ears, which, Luke, I do have a question. With those bunny ears, do you get better reception?
What do you mean?
That's how you can identify young people. See, all of us old people, the parents and people who are adults that are watching, we had something when we were kids called bunny ears. You would put them on your television so you could get better reception, because we didn't have internet TV or cable TV. Our TV came through the airwaves like the radio does, and then if the reception was bad, we had these big long antennas that we put on the back of our TV called bunny ears.
I know what you're talking about.
So now you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, that was a really cool invention that Luke came up with right before the show. I said, let's get that on here. Today, we're going to do for our Free Build Friday something really cool. We're going to learn about a cool piece of software. I never took the website off the screen. I really need a producer. I'm going to teach you guys about a cool piece of software called Tinkercad. Tinkercad is free software. You can actually start using their website today. You can set up an account and you can create 3D models. And in fact, I'm going to challenge those of you who are watching this weekend to do exactly that. So we're going to talk about Tinkercad today, and then we're going to talk a little bit about 3D printing, because 3D printing is actually one of the greatest purposes of Tinkercad. If you create a file and you want to make it into reality, you can use Tinkercad to create it, and then you print it off on a 3D printer. Now here at Made New, we've got about a dozen 3D printers, and we can make all sorts of cool stuff, like this little Pikachu here, and I'll put it in front of here on the desk cam so you can see him. So there's Pikachu with Luke next to him, and we 3D printed that. That is something that we found. We actually found somebody who modeled Pikachu online, and he uploaded that to another site that we'll tell you about in a short bit. And we downloaded the Pikachu file, loaded up yellow on our 3D printer, because you can put just about any color of the rainbow in there, and we printed this out. And so 3D printing is a really neat way to make some really cool custom stuff. And actually also on this desk cam, I'll turn this, if you see my TRex skull, like one of my very, very favorite 3D prints, that guy is also 3D printed. We made that with white material. And so, roar.
And the best part about this thing is, it's actually two parts. There are holes in this, and there are bumps on this, so that allows this invention to actually open and close its mouth.
So that is a really cool thing about 3D printing, is that you can make things that actually work. And in fact, if you look in the news right now, you'll see people who are making 3D printed files, masks, face shields for people who are doctors. You'll see there are people who have 3D printed parts for respirators. So people going through this whole, coronavirus COVID-19 thing are actually getting supplies that will save lives that are made on 3D printers. That's really, really cool. So Luke, I mean, speaking of that whole coronavirus thing, how have you felt since school's been out and since it's canceled? What's been going on with you?
Well, lately I've just been so I've been waiting for 4 years to have the teacher that I have today.
That's true. He loves his teacher. And now,
a fourth of this, and now I have to miss a fourth, 1/4 of the whole school year. And of all school years, I've always been wondering, why does it have to happen now? Why couldn't it just be last year or next year? Why does it have to be this year?
Right. I know that's frustrating because I know you've been looking forward to fourth grade for so long, and your fourth grade teacher, Mr. Allers, you've said many times. I remember before we even got into the fourth grade, you said, "Oh, I hope when I get in the fourth grade, I get Mr. Allers' class because he's so much fun and he's the tallest teacher in the school, and I just really want to be in his class." And so then, I mean, how did you feel when you got the school letter saying that you were in Mr. Allers' class?
I was like, I was super happy. Like, so at my school, a few weeks before the school year starts, they put on the door a list that says all the students' names and whose class they're going to be in. And then, I go over to fourth grade, then I find my name. I go up to see who was my teacher, and I was like, Mr. Allers. And I was just happy about that the whole time.
Right.
And now he says he might be able to do live videos with the students so that he can teach the class, and it will be like he's still right there in front of us.
So that's kind of what we're learning right now, is that, things have changed, but it's still going to be okay, right? It's still Mr.
Right.
Allers' class. It's just going to be a little bit different how we do it. And so, the teachers out there, and I know a lot of teachers because I used to be a teacher, a lot of the teachers out there feel just the same way you did, where they're sad and upset because they love their students. Teachers don't get paid a lot of money. Teachers don't, they work very hard, and they do their job because they love students. And so for them, it's just as hard as it is for you, Lucas, that, getting no students is a big thing that hurts for them. And so for those teachers who are out there watching, I know there's a few educators that have purchased the kits or received the kits. Thank you so much for the hard work that you're doing right now, for the effort you're putting into your students from afar. Thank you, and thank you for ensuring that even while this craziness is going on, we still have an opportunity for our kids to learn in the best way they can. So with that said, I want to jump kind of into the purpose of today's program, which is my free build, which is through the software called Tinkercad. Now I'm going to show you in a second here the Tinkercad website. This is the screen for Tinkercad. And if you notice up here, you can go to tinkercad.com to access this website. This is something that we've used a lot, Luke, haven't we?
Right. Do you know where the Luke box is? Remember my first invention?
Oh, you know what? I think it's somewhere at home. I think it might be downstairs. No, it's not downstairs. We moved it. I don't know. So what he's talking about is we had Luke had built on Tinkercad a collection of shapes, and this was, what was that, like 3 years ago almost?
I don't really remember.
It was probably about 3 years ago.
I feel like it was before you even started this makerspace.
Yeah, no, it was when this was still being planned. We created the Luke box, which you were, I want to say 7-ish, 6-ish, very little, but you were able to figure out this software. So that's what I really like about the Tinkercad software, is it's super easy to use, that even, a young child should be able to figure it out. But then someone like myself, who I've used all the different 3D software, I've used Autodesk software, AutoCAD, Fusion 360, I've used Blender, all of these programs, I still find use out of this software. And so if you look down here, and actually I need to take my picture away so you can actually see it without me, there, tinkercad.com is the website. So tinkercad.com. This is actually created by Autodesk, which is the company that makes a lot of the top of the line CAD software out there. So on Tinkercad, the first thing you need to do is you need to create a free login, and it's super easy to do. Up here at the top right, I'm going to click on this, and you guys can just follow along right now. You can come back later if you want to do this, or if you want to open up a new tab so you can hear my voice and you can start something, and you're using a laptop, that's awesome. So I hit the Join Now button on Tinkercad, and it gives you several options. Now, a lot of teachers use it, and so it says in school, and then it has options for the educators to start or a student to start. So as a teacher, I can start a Tinkercad class, and then you can join that if you want to learn directly from me, which is something that we can talk about in future episodes. But right now, we're just going to create on our own. So you're going to click where it says create a personal account. And so when you create that personal account, there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can either use your Google account or your Facebook account, or you can just use a regular plain old email. So for the purpose of today, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sign up with my Google account. And actually, you know what? I actually already have one associated with that. So I'm going to sign up with email instead. You'll get to see that. So it's going to say, what country are you from? I'm from the United States. We're going to set our birthday, January 15, 1981. Man, I'm getting older every day. There we go. Barely a millennial. Barely a millennial. All right, and we're going to set this up with the Kitbashing at madenewOmaha.com, and obviously you'll use your email. And create a password. This can be whatever you want. It has to have at least one letter, at least one number, uppercase, lowercase, special characters, all that good stuff. Once you do that, they're going to ask, do you agree to the terms and service? If you've got the time to read over those things and make sure you know what you're doing, you can absolutely agree to those terms of service. Or you can just click create account, and away we go. So it's going to say account has been created, and it will give you the option to save the password. Sure, we're going to save that if you're in Google Chrome like I am. And then it's going to say thank you. And this little checkbox here, if you uncheck this, you'll be able to avoid having people send you a million emails saying, hey, here's how this works. So we're going to hit done. And now we're in Tinkercad. It's going to take a few seconds to load. And the very first thing you're going to see when you log on to the screen is you're going to see a welcome that wants to walk you through creating your very first thing. It's a pretty cool project, the tutorial project. You actually create a spiral staircase that is kind of cool, but we're not going to do that today because we've got some other things that I want to show you. So it says, let's go, but up here at the top, there's the goodbye. Goodbye. Now we're looking at our main screen when you're using Tinkercad. What we're going to do is we're going to click on Create New Design. Now there's all sorts of stuff you can do in Tinkercad, but Create New Design is where we want to go today. That's going to open up a new screen where you can create 3D objects. Now Luke, you've done this before. How hard is it really?
It's not really that hard.
Here, he's going to come around to where I am.
So, the first thing you have to do, a lot of times what I do is I start with something simple, and I drag out one random shape.
Okay, let's take a block out here in the middle. So if you see what I did there, I just literally clicked on the block over here on the right. So on the right side, there's this whole field of different things you can create. And it actually is more than just this. This is basic shapes, but you can also, up here at the top, you can see all sorts of different things that you can create. And people in the community can add to this too. So that way you can, if you create something really cool, you can share it to the community and everybody else can use it as well. So that's something that's really neat with Tinkercad. Anyway, back to basic shapes. So like you were saying, Luke, you pulled this out and put a random shape on our work plane. This blue thing is the work plane. That is the surface where you build everything on. And once you go to 3D print something, that's treated like the 3D printer's build plate that everything is built on top of.
And never forget the ruler.
Yep, never ever forget the ruler. That's really important. So this ruler, if we bring this out, why do we want to bring the ruler out, Luke?
It tells us the dimensions of the shape.
Yep, it tells us sizes so we can make things a particular size. Now, if you're just having fun, you might not need to create something that's a very exact size. But for a lot of the work that we do, we're creating things that will actually exist in the real world. We're creating things that we're going to use our laser to cut, or we're using things that we're going to make into a 3D printed model. And so we need that ruler. And as soon as I drag that out, same way you drag out a block or anything else, I clicked on the ruler and I dragged it out here to this corner. And I like to put them right in the corner. It's the easiest place to do it. But you can also move this ruler, I mean, anywhere you want. I can move that ruler right there in the middle of the screen.
But whatever is outside of the ruler, it will not tell you the dimensions of it.
But if you don't have the ruler, like if I move the ruler way up here, it will still tell me dimensions, but it's going to use, look at these numbers, negative 92, negative 97, and that gets really crazy confusing. This, on the ruler, actually, if you look in this circle that I keep going back and forth over with the mouse, that's called origin. That's the 0, 0, 0 in three-dimensional space. That's where everything starts from, and when it computes the model, it uses that point to say, okay, this is where, at that point, nothing, exists. That's just the very start point, and everything goes this way, or this way from that point in some measurable fashion. So we put that ruler on here. Okay, so now we dragged a block on. And again, this is really easy. I'm going to drag a few more things on here, a couple blocks, couple cylinders. Here's a sphere. These are really cool. And if you decide, oh gosh, I didn't need that sphere, all you do is hit the delete key. Delete, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. What's something really simple we could build in just a minute or two, Luke?
So, a ring is one of my designs.
Okay.
So, a lot of times what I do is I just drag out a random shape and see what I can make with that. So, one time I just got out a diamond, and I was like, what could I make with a diamond shape? Then I just flip it upside down, and I'm like, I know what I can do. And then I get out a ring, and I attach it to the diamond, and that's how I made a ring. And a lot of things that you 3D print, will take like a long time. Yep. One time we made something that took I think 2 days, but this ring only takes 15 minutes.
Yep. So let's, that's a good idea. That's a good point. So let's make a ring today. Now, the first thing that we have to do before we even get into the real world is we need, or into the 3D modeling world, is we need to be back here in the real world, and we need to figure out what this ring's size should be. Because I don't know if a ring is 3 millimeters wide or 40 millimeters wide or somewhere in between that. So I need to measure. And what I use for measuring, this guy. This is called a digital caliper. They don't come with the googly eyes, but I really like googly eyes. I put them on just about everything that I can justify putting googly eyes on. So this is my 3D caliper. And it opens, and when it opens, you'll see it starts at 0. And then when it opens up, the dimensions change. Now, this is a super, super inexpensive thing that you can get at like Harbor Freight Tools. There's a couple other places online where you can get them pretty cheap. They're okay. There are super expensive calipers you can buy. For the purpose of just being a hobbyist, you probably don't need them. So what I'm going to do first, before we get into creating a ring, is I need to know how big a finger is. So I'm going to measure mine, and I'm just going to put it in the pinchy end, measure, and it says my finger is about 18.5 millimeters wide. And I'm using the metric system because Tinkercad by default uses the metric system, and most 3D printers also use it by default. But if I'm going to create a ring for me, that's cool. But Luke, stick your hand out here. Let's measure you. Let's actually make a kid-sized finger. So if you are making a finger for a kid, I poked you a little, and if his fingers are about the size of Luke's, You're about, what, 16 and a half?
16 and a quarter.
Yeah, 16 and a quarter. We're going to call it 16.5. You can make them a little bit bigger on the inside, so you've got a little bit of breathing room. So we don't need that anymore. Let's go back into Tinkercad, and I'm going to show you how we create this ring.
I think I might have it in the other room. I'll see if we have it.
Yeah, you can check for that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go and start with the ring. So, first thing that we need to do is we need to create the shape of the ring. And there's a couple different tools you can use. There's a torus, which creates a rounded tool. There's a tube. There's actually one called ring. So all the way at the bottom, we're going to drag this ring out here onto the work surface. And it's going to ask us a few questions. First of all, I want you to direct your attention to this top corner of the screen. In this top corner, you see that we can assign a color to our ring. So for right now, let's make it silvery colored. Okay, cool. And then you can also make your ring a particular shape. This is the side profile of your ring. So what I mean by the side profile is, on my ring, for example, I've got one of those cool soft silicone rings. The shape of the ring, the curvature of the ring, is what you can see on this screen over here on the right-hand side where my mouse is. So to change that curvature, let's just, for example, let's drag this way out, and we're going to move this down. Okay, I just made a really weird shaped ring. Let's zoom in on this. To zoom in, I just hold the control key and I turn my mouse wheel, and we can see what we did with our shape. All right, this is kind of a weird shaped ring now. This is, I mean, the outside looks kind of okay because that has a flat profile, but on the inside, I don't think that would be terribly comfortable to wear. I don't. So we're going to change this again, and you're going to get to see as I go how this changes. So we're going to bring this in, and we're going to bring this out. And move that. And so you can adjust all of these shapes to make your ring whatever shape you want it to be. Now I think that looks a lot smoother. Maybe on the outside though, maybe we could do something cool on the outside. And I could bring this in like that. Cool. All right. So now I've changed the shape of the outside. So it's got this little curvature here, and that will go all the way around the ring. So now we've created something different and unique for this ring, and then we want to make sure it's the right size. The way that we do that, and I'm using my right mouse to turn things around on the build space, is I'm going to adjust the size. This ring says that it's 23.29 wide. Is that going to be good enough for Luke's finger, which we have decided is 16 and a quarter? Well, let's find out. So what I just did is I clicked on the cylinder tool on the right, and you can scroll up and down. Cylinder is one of the very basic shapes, and I'm going to define this cylinder as I'm going to make it 16.4, just a little under the size of Luke's finger. So this is my virtual finger. This is, if Luke had his finger in the 3D world, this is the size it would be. And I'm going to change the number of sides. Sides are what make a shape smooth. And I'm going to add as many sides as I can. And then on the color here, I'm also going to make it transparent so I can see through it. All right, so this is Luke's finger. Right now, this ring is way, way too big. So we're going to adjust it a little bit. And we adjust it just by clicking on these corners that are white. And I'm going to bring those in until it's just about the shape. And the cool thing about humans is that we are flexible to some extent. So if this is not perfect, if it's a little small, see, you can see his fingers kind of sticking out here. That's okay. I'm going to move it over by using my arrow keys and back just a little. All right, that looks about right. Okay, cool. Well, we don't need pretend finger here anymore, so we're going to click on pretend finger, and I'm going to hit delete. Okay, we have a ring. Next step is we need to add something for the ring. So, Luke, what should we put on the ring here?
Scroll down.
Okay.
They're diamond.
Okay, yep. So we can just add a diamond to the ring.
So
now
it's not the right way that we want it.
Yep.
So we're going to have to tip it upside down.
How
and
do
the
we
way
do that?
we do that is can I please have the mouse?
Yep.
These little arrows here.
He's taking over my show.
They if you click on that, then you can turn the diamond, and 180 degrees is upside down, so that's what we want. And then we're gonna have to connect this ring to that, so that means we're going to have to do the same thing with this ring and turn it to 90 degrees and bring it over here. And we want to have it close, so that dotted line going through the ring, you want that right in the middle of the diamond.
Ooh, I'm taking over again because I know a trick.
Oh yeah.
So
the
here's
center button?
here's a cool trick. So if you want to line up two objects, like we want to get this ring centered on the diamond. So I'm going to click on both of these, and instead of just like clicking on one and clicking on the other, because then it will unselect the ring and then reselect the diamond, I'm going to make a box. I'm going to click way out here, and I'm going to just drag this box over both things, and that selects both. Now, there's another way to do this. I could also click on the ring, and then I can hold the shift key down on my computer and click on the diamond. So whichever way you want to do it, you select both. Now there's a cool, up here in the top right corner, there's a cool tool called Align. You click on that, and then it's going to give you some options for how to align this. On the screen, these dots mean, do you want to align this in the center this way? Well, yes, we do. Do you want to align it in the center this way? Yes, we do. And now that ring is perfectly lined up, except the other thing we need to do is we need to align these guys so that their top and bottom line up as well. So that will get us pretty close. It's not perfect. That's where we're going to adjust this.
But we don't want the diamond inside of the ring, because then that would poke my finger.
Yes, that would hurt. Also, when we aligned those things, now this is underneath the build plane. I'm rotating my build plane so you can see kind of this is the work surface, and the diamond is underneath it. That won't do it all. So again, I'm going to select everything, and then over here, this is how you adjust how high up in space something floats. And so once I select everything, I can click right here on this -7. It's 7 millimeters below the build plate. Change it to 0. Boom. Easy peasy.
No.
All right. Now, this guy right here, we're going to just manually move it up until the ring isn't poking. And that's going to be this triangle above the top. We're going to click on the triangle, and we're going to drag it upwards until, let's see. So we want it, and I think we got it perfectly. So the diamond is not connected, or not going through the ring, but it is connected to the ring, just like that.
You know another thing we could do? We could use the we could get the box and turn it into a hole and make it shorter. Then we could put it right at the end of the diamond, so that the diamond has a flat bottom, and then we could put the ring on top of that.
Oh yeah, that's another option too, is that you could actually build this up with a box. Now for today's purposes, I wanted to give you a taste of Tinkercad.com, and I'm going to hit one more button here, and that's up here. This is group. So when you hit the group button, anything that you've got selected, so I had the diamond and I had the ring part selected, they become one object. So now if I go to move this around my build surface, they're both going to go together because the computer sees them as one thing. And if I made a mistake and I'm like, oh no, I was supposed to move that diamond, you actually have a tool here called ungroup that I can click on, and then that will separate them again. So I can click on one and I can say, I meant to go over here. I didn't really mean to go over there. So I'm going to put it back, and then I'm going to select them all, and then we're going to group them together. And so cool, we made a simple basic diamond ring with a custom outside shape in just a few minutes. One more trick. So like, let's say that you want to print this, or let's say that you want to come to the makerspace someday when all this insanity is over and print something out. How do we do that? Well, it's super easy. We're going to click on our ring. You're going to hit the export button, and then you're going to click where it says .stl file, and then you'll see there it is right down at the bottom of my screen. It shows that we've downloaded this name. Up here is the top is the name of your file. This one's called Smashing Wasa, and that STL file is done. And I could take that right now. I could plug that STL file into one of my slicing programs for my 3D printers, and I could 3D print that right now. That's pretty cool. So, I'm not going to print that today, but I wanted you to be able to see this site, to see something that we created with Luke and I together, and then I wanted to give you guys maybe a little guidance into doing something really cool. All right, so thank you so much for joining us. Luke and I are really excited that you were able to be here for this show. One quick thing before we go, I also wanted to show you another website that is really handy called Thingiverse.com. If you've never used it, this website is a website where people upload the models they've created. It's a baby Yoda. And you can download these models and print them out on 3D printers. And they have all sorts of stuff. So this is a really fun site to check out. It's called Thingiverse.com. And I will post these. My goal is to get on our website everything set up really soon so that you guys can see all the builds we've done so far, can see some instructions, websites, things like that. So Thingiverse.com and Tinkercad.com is the CAD website. Here, Luke, if you want to go over to your chair, I'm going to show them that thing that you're holding. So this is something really cool that we had. There was an event called MRF, which unfortunately this year, thanks to our coronavirus, was canceled. It actually was going on. It was supposed to go on this month, and it was not able to happen, unfortunately. But Luke, tell us about what this thing is.
So, a couple years ago at MRF, we got to meet a whole bunch of other YouTubers and people who like to 3D print stuff, and we got their autographs. And we got a whole bunch of them on here.
Yep. Now the cool thing though is that thing that we got the autographs on, that autograph slab as we've called it, is not just something that we found, it's something that we made. And how did we make it, Luke?
So we have something that we call the bin of broken hopes and dreams. And whenever something that we 3D printed doesn't turn out, we put it in that bin. But one day that bin was just getting way too full, so we decided, why not make something cool out of that? So we put it in a pan and threw it in the oven for 45 minutes. And then when we pulled it back out, this is what we had. And it was blank, like on this side. And we decided, let's take it to MRF this year and get some autographs on it. So that's what we did. So and getting to MRF that year wasn't the easiest thing to do. I ended up getting a really bad headache, so we had to stop at a hotel on the way.
Mm-hmm. All right. So anyway, sorry to cut you off, Lucas, but we are at 39 minutes into the program, and I try to tell people, as I've said all the time, we try to have these between 30 and 45 minutes so that you can get on to your day and do things. And before we go, I did have one challenge. This is my weekend challenge to you. If you use Tinkercad this weekend, I want you to use that, and I want you to create an STL file, and I want you to send that right over here to this email, kitbashing@madeinomaha.com. Tinkercad.com and send me the STL file, or send me a picture of it at least if you do that. And I just want to see what sort of cool stuff you created. Maybe if somebody creates something really cool this weekend, I'll 3D print it and we'll show it on the show, a live 3D printed object that somebody created. So if you don't have access to Tinkercad.com and you want to create something on your own from the kit, this is the other part of the weekend challenge. You can make something IRL, that's young people talk for in real life, using only the elements in our kit, and then send us a photo. And then I'm going to put my hands here like this again, and if you send us that kit with that photo, I might put it on the show, because I really do love the stuff that you guys create. Well, it's about time for us to take off for the day. I really do appreciate everyone who's viewed. I appreciate all the people who make this possible, and we couldn't do that without you. This program has been so much fun. Every day somebody has sent me a photo of something they've built or something they've done, and that really means a lot to me, and it really helps to know that we're doing some good for the community right now in this time. So, that's all I got time for, guys. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget your weekend challenge. Here it is one more time. And we will see you Monday with another live episode of Kitbashing, 1 p.m. Central, right here on Made New Makerspace.